Picture this. You stay late finishing a project while everyone else went home hours ago. You deliver it flawlessly. The next morning, your co-worker who left at 5 takes credit in the meeting, and your boss nods approvingly at them. You say nothing, because you've been taught that good work speaks for itself, that respect is earned through silent competence and humble excellence. So you go back to your desk, work harder, deliver more, and watch it happen again, and again, and again, until you realize something that makes your stomach turn. You're working twice as hard as everyone around you and getting half the respect. And the worst part, it's your fault. Not because you're not good enough, but because you're playing a game that was rigged from the start. You've been conditioned to believe that respect is earned. That if you just work hard enough, prove yourself thoroughly enough, demonstrate your value clearly enough, people will have no choice but to respect you. But here's the truth that's going to shatter everything you thought you knew. Respect has nothing to do with what you deserve. It has everything to do with what you command. And every single day you spend trying to earn respect is another day you're training people that you're beneath them. Machiavelli wrote that the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. You've been caught in the trap of earning. Tomorrow you become the lion that commands. And I'm going to show you exactly how. If you're done bleeding effort for scraps of recognition, subscribe right now, because what I'm about to teach you will fundamentally rewire every power dynamic in your life. You're not going to work harder, you're going to work strategically, and you're going to watch people who ignored you suddenly start treating you like you matter. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you're ready to stop begging for what you deserve and start commanding it. Let's begin. Here's what's happening in the next 20 minutes. I'm going to expose the psychological trap that keeps competent people disrespected. Then I'm going to give you 6 strategic behaviors that command respect automatically without you having to prove a damn thing. These aren't tricks. These aren't manipulations. These are positioning strategies that force people to see you differently. By the end, you'll understand why your hard work has bought you nothing and exactly what to do tomorrow morning to change that permanently. But you need to watch until the end, because the 6th behavior is the one that makes everything else work. Miss it, and you'll deploy the others wrong. Now let's talk about the trap. The respect trap is elegant in its cruelty. Here's how it works. From childhood, you're taught that respect is earned. Do good work, be a good person, play by the rules, and respect will follow like rain follows clouds. So you internalize this. You make it your operating system. You become the person who shows up early, stays late, goes above and beyond. You deliver quality. You help others. You do everything right. And then you wait for the respect you've earned to arrive. But it doesn't come. Or it comes in amounts so insultingly small compared to your effort that it feels like mockery. Meanwhile, you watch people who do half your work get twice your recognition. People who shouldn't even be in the room command more attention than you. People who are objectively less competent than you are treated with more deference, more consideration, more respect. And you can't understand why, because you've been lied to about how respect actually works. Here's what they never told you. Respect isn't a transaction. It's not a vending machine where you put in effort coins and respect comes out. Respect is a perception, a feeling people have about where you rank in the social hierarchy. And that feeling is triggered by behavioral signals, psychological positioning, and strategic presence. Not by how hard you work, not by how competent you are, not by how good a person you are. Those things might make you worthy of respect in some objective moral universe, but we don't live in that universe. We live in this one, where perception is reality and positioning is power. Every time you work extra hard to prove yourself, you send a signal. And that signal isn't, "I'm competent." It's, "I'm trying to earn your approval." Every time you go above and beyond hoping for recognition, you're not demonstrating value. You're demonstrating need. The need for validation, the need for acknowledgement, the need for someone above you to notice you and grant you the respect you're working for. And here's the knife twist. Anything you work for is automatically positioned beneath you in the hierarchy. Because seeking approval means you don't have it, which means you're below the person whose approval you're seeking. You thought you were earning respect, but you were actually training people to disrespect you, teaching them that you'll work for their approval, showing them that you position yourself as below them, waiting for them to grant you what you want. This is the trap. And you've been in it so long you think it's the natural order of things. Now, here's where this connects to what we covered in the last video. If you watched the 7 deeply unsettling Machiavellian tactics, you already learned that power flows to those who understand positioning, not those who work hardest. This video builds directly on that foundation. If you haven't watched that video, pause this one right now and go watch it first, because the tactics I taught you there combine with what I'm teaching you today to create a complete system. Don't skip it, you need both. So why does earning respect fail? Let me break down the psychology. When you try to earn respect, you're operating from a framework of meritocracy. You believe that value creates recognition, that competence creates respect, that doing good work makes people treat you well. But other people aren't operating from that framework. They're operating from a framework of social hierarchy and psychological positioning. They're not asking, does this person deserve respect? They're responding unconsciously to signals about where you rank relative to them, and the signals you send when you try to earn respect are devastating to your position. You signal need. You signal insecurity. You signal that you're not sure of your own value, so you're trying to prove it to others. You signal that you're below them, working to rise to their level. And humans are brutal, hierarchical animals. When they sense you position yourself below them, they treat you accordingly, not consciously, not maliciously, just automatically, because that's how social hierarchies work. Think about someone who commands your respect. Really picture them. Are they working hard to prove themselves to you? Are they going above and beyond to earn your approval? Are they trying to demonstrate their value through servile effort? No. They're simply existing with a certain presence, a certain way of carrying themselves, a certain set of behaviors that makes you feel like respecting them is just the natural response to who they are. They're not earning anything, they're commanding it. Through positioning, through presence, through strategic behavior. This is the shift you're missing, and it's the shift Machiavelli understood when he wrote The Prince. He observed that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you really are. Translation: perception matters more than reality. It doesn't matter how competent you actually are if you don't appear commanding. It doesn't matter how hard you work if your behavior signals that you're working for approval. People respond to what they perceive, not what's objectively true. And if you want respect, you need to command it through perception management, not earn it through objective merit. Here's the Machiavellian reframe that changes everything. Stop trying to be worthy of respect. Start positioning yourself as entitled to it. Not entitled in the sense of arrogant or delusional. Entitled in the sense of already having it, already possessing it, already operating from a position where respect is your baseline expectation, not your aspirational goal. Stop working to prove your value. Start existing as if your value is self-evident. Stop seeking approval. Start acting as if you've already received it and now you're deciding whether others are worthy of access to you. This isn't fake it till you make it. This is understanding that respect flows to those who position themselves as already having it, to those who act like they don't need it, to those who command it through strategic behavior rather than earn it through desperate effort. Now, let me give you the 6 behaviors that make this real. Strategic behavior 1. Psychological presence. Walk into your next meeting and watch what most people do. They make themselves small, apologetic. They shrink into chairs, hunch their shoulders, lower their voices, minimize their physical footprint. Why? Because they're trying not to threaten anyone, trying not to take up too much space, trying to earn acceptance by being inoffensive. And every second they do this, they're signaling subordination. Tomorrow morning, you're going to do the opposite. You're going to occupy space like you own it. Stand with your spine straight and shoulders back. Not puffed up like you're trying to intimidate. Just naturally extended like you have every right to exist fully in that space. Sit without cramping yourself. Spread out, take up room. Move deliberately, not rushed. Speak at a volume that fills the space without shouting. Make eye contact that lingers just slightly longer than comfortable. Not aggressive, just present, just there. Just occupying the space like it's yours. And here's what happens. Watch their faces. Watch how people unconsciously adjust to you. How they lean back slightly. How they give you more space. How they start treating you like someone significant just walked in. You haven't said a word about your accomplishments. You haven't proven anything. You just existed with presence. And presence commands respect because it signals that you see yourself as someone who matters. And when you see yourself that way, others unconsciously accept that frame. Strategic behavior 2. Non-negotiable boundaries. This is where you're bleeding the most respect right now. Someone asks you to do something outside your role. You say yes because you want to be helpful, to be seen as a team player, to earn goodwill. Someone disrespects your time by showing up late or canceling last minute. You accept it because you don't want to seem difficult. Someone speaks to you in a way that crosses a line. You let it slide because you don't want conflict. Every single time you do this, you teach people that your boundaries are suggestions, that disrespecting you has no consequences, that you're someone who can be walked on. Tomorrow, when someone asks you to do something outside your role, here's what you say. That's not something I do. Not rudely, not apologetically, just matter-of-factly. Like you're stating a law of physics. No explanation, no justification. No, I'm really busy, or maybe next time. Just a clear, calm statement of boundary. And then you stop talking. Let them sit in that silence. Let them absorb that you mean it. Someone disrespects your time. There's an immediate consequence. They show up 15 minutes late to your meeting. The meeting started without them and they've missed critical information. They cancel on you last minute. You're not available next time they want to reschedule. No anger, no lectures. Just natural consequences delivered calmly. Someone crosses a verbal line with you. You don't engage, you don't defend, you just withdraw your presence. The conversation ends. You disengage. Politely, but completely. What you're doing is training people the same way you'd train a dog. Disrespecting you leads to immediate, consistent, negative consequences. Respecting you leads to access to your time, energy, and presence. You're not being mean. You're being consistent, and consistency and boundary enforcement is how you teach people that respecting you isn't optional. It's the price of admission to your world. Strategic behavior 3. Strategic scarcity. Right now, you're too available. Someone texts you, you respond in minutes. Someone asks for your time, you rearrange your schedule to accommodate them. Someone wants your help, you drop what you're doing to provide it. You think you're being helpful, professional, a good person, but what you're actually doing is signaling that your time has no value, that access to you is unlimited, that you're abundant and therefore cheap. Economics 101. Scarcity creates value. Abundance destroys it. When you're always available, always responsive, always accommodating, you make yourself abundant. And abundant things are taken for granted. Tomorrow, you're going to become scarce. Someone texts you. You respond hours later. Not to play games, but because you were genuinely busy with things that matter more than immediate responses. Someone asks for your time. You check your calendar, and the next available slot is days away. Someone wants your help. You consider whether it's worth your time, and often the answer is no. Watch what happens. People start valuing the access they do get to you. They start working to earn your time instead of assuming they have it. They start respecting your schedule because you've shown through your behavior that it's valuable and protected. You're not being rude. You're just operating from a framework where your time is your most valuable resource, and you protect it accordingly. And when you protect something, others perceive it as valuable. Strategic behavior 4. High standards for others. You're accepting mediocrity from people and wondering why they don't respect you. Someone gives you sloppy work. You fix it yourself rather than sending it back. Someone shows up unprepared to a meeting. You accommodate them by recapping information they should already know. Someone commits to something and doesn't follow through. You pick up the slack without holding them accountable. Every time you accept less than excellence from others, you signal that your standards are negotiable, that disrespecting your expectations has no cost. Tomorrow, you're going to expect excellence, and when you don't get it, there's a consequence. Someone gives you subpar work. You send it back with a simple, "This doesn't meet the standard. Redo it." No anger, no doing their work for them. Just a clear expectation that they meet your standard or face the consequence of having wasted their own time. Someone shows up unprepared. The meeting proceeds without accommodating them. They miss out on what they needed because they didn't respect the process enough to prepare. Someone commits and doesn't follow through. You don't give them another chance on important things. You relegate them to less critical roles or remove them from your orbit entirely. Not vindictively, just strategically. You're allocating your trust and collaboration to people who've earned it by meeting your standards. And you're withdrawing those resources from people who've shown they don't respect them enough to meet them. What this does is create a filter. People who want access to you, who want to work with you, who want your respect in return. They step up. They meet your standards because that's the price of being in your world. People who won't step up remove themselves. And you end up surrounded by people who respect you because you've made respect the minimum requirement for proximity to you. Now, before we go to the final 2 behaviors, if this is the first time you're watching content on this channel, you need to understand something. This isn't motivational content. This isn't feel-good advice. This is tactical psychology based on Machiavellian principles and real-world power dynamics. Every video on this channel gives you strategies that actually work in the real world, not just in theory. Subscribe right now and go back and watch the other videos, especially the 7 Machiavellian tactics, because this is all part of a complete system. Don't just take one piece. Get the whole framework. Now let's finish this. Strategic behavior 5. Consistent consequences. This ties everything together. You've set boundaries. You've established standards. But if you don't enforce them consistently, they mean nothing. Most people threaten consequences but don't follow through. They give warnings, second chances, third chances. They hope people will change without having to actually enforce accountability. And every time they do this, they destroy their own credibility and teach people that their boundaries and standards are theater. Tomorrow, you become absolutely consistent. You say something will happen if a line is crossed. It happens. Every time. No warnings beyond the initial boundary setting. No exceptions. No second chances for the same violation. Just calm, immediate, guaranteed consequences. Someone crosses your boundary. The consequence you stated happens. Someone fails to meet your standard. The consequence you stated happens. No emotion, no anger, no lectures. Just predictable, mechanical enforcement. This is Machiavellian brilliance. Because when your consequences are absolutely consistent, people stop testing you. They learn that you mean what you say, that your words aren't empty, that crossing you has real costs. Not because they fear you, but because they respect that you're someone who follows through. Consistency builds respect because it proves you have integrity between your words and your actions. You're not someone who talks about boundaries. You're someone who enforces them. And that's the difference between someone who gets walked on and someone who gets respected. Strategic behavior 6. Selective vulnerability. Now we get sophisticated. You might think commanding respect means never showing weakness, being a stone fortress, emotionally impenetrable. But that makes you seem inhuman, untrustworthy, impossible to connect with. The secret is selective vulnerability, strategic revelation of authentic humanity at chosen moments with chosen people. This creates powerful loyalty and deep respect because people feel chosen, special, trusted with something rare. But timing is everything. You deploy this only after you've established the other 5 behaviors. Only after people already respect you because of your presence, boundaries, scarcity, standards, and consistency. Once you have that respect, then you strategically reveal something real, something vulnerable. Maybe you share a past failure and what you learned. Maybe you admit you don't know something and ask for genuine help. Maybe you show a moment of authentic emotion or struggle. The key is that it's chosen, controlled, strategic. You're not emotionally vomiting on people. You're not revealing weakness from a position of weakness. You're revealing humanity from a position of strength. And when someone who commands respect shows you authentic vulnerability, it creates a bond. They feel honored, trusted, connected to the real you, and that creates loyalty that goes far beyond surface-level respect. But never deploy this before establishing the foundation, because vulnerability from a position of weakness looks like desperation. Vulnerability from a position of strength looks like confidence and authenticity. Same behavior, different positioning, completely opposite result. Drop "I command respect" in the comments if you're seeing how radically different this is from everything you've been taught. Now let me show you how all 6 behaviors combine. You walk into work tomorrow with psychological presence, occupying space like you own it. Someone tries to push something onto you that's not your job. You enforce your boundary without apology. Someone wants your time, you're strategically scarce, making them work for access. Someone gives you mediocre effort, you hold them to your standard without accepting less. Someone crosses a line, there's an immediate consequence, delivered calmly and consistently. And with the people who've proven themselves worthy through respecting all of this, you strategically reveal something real, creating deep loyalty. You're not working harder, you're not proving anything. You're not trying to earn respect. You're simply positioning yourself through strategic behaviors that make disrespecting you uncomfortable and respecting you natural. The beautiful thing? This requires less effort than what you've been doing. You've been exhausting yourself trying to earn respect through performance. Now you're commanding it through positioning. Less effort, more result. That's Machiavellian efficiency. But here's the warning. These 6 behaviors work so effectively that you need to understand the responsibility that comes with them. When you command respect, you get power. Power to influence, power to lead, power to shape your environment. And power without purpose becomes tyranny. Use these behaviors to protect yourself from exploitation, to create space for your authentic goals, to build relationships with people who genuinely value you. Don't use them just to dominate, just to make people feel small, just to feed your ego. Because if you become just another person using power to harm, you're no better than the people who've been disrespecting you. Machiavelli wrote that the wise man does in the beginning what the fool does in the end. The fool uses power to indulge in cruelty and eventually destroys themselves. The wise man uses power strategically, responsibly, to build something lasting. Be wise. Command respect to create the life you want, not just to prove you can. Tomorrow morning, everything changes. You walk into your first interaction with presence, taking up space, making eye contact, speaking with volume. Someone tests your boundary. You enforce it immediately. Someone wants your time, you're scarce and valuable. Someone delivers mediocrity, you hold the standard. Someone crosses you, there's a consequence. And with someone worthy, you share something real. You watch their faces change. Watch how people who ignored you start paying attention, how people who talked over you start listening, how people who took you for granted start valuing your time, not because you worked harder, not because you proved yourself, but because you stopped trying to earn what you should have been commanding all along. The old you bled effort for scraps of respect. The new you commands total respect through strategic positioning. The old you proved your worth through servile labor. The new you exists as if your worth is self-evident. The old you earned nothing. The new you commands everything. This is the transformation. This is what strategic behavior looks like. This is how you stop being disrespected and start being seen as someone who simply doesn't tolerate disrespect. If this video just revolutionized how you see power, respect, and your place in the world, subscribe and turn on notifications. Every video on this channel gives you tactical tools that actually work. Share this with someone who's tired of being walked on. Drop "I see the game" in the comments. Your transformation starts tomorrow morning when you walk into that room and everything is different. Stop earning. Start commanding. Welcome to the other side.